Alright guys, we're back at the bicycle can crusher today. I've had a lot of people asking for information on how I built pieces and parts of this thing, and I don't have any drawings or anything. I just built it out of my head one weekend. It's kind of hard to answer some of that, so one of the gentlemen suggested that I do another video on it and kind of concentrate on the parts and how I built them, and so that's what I'm going to attempt to do today. At the end of this, I will put in some still photos of pieces and parts of it. So if you want to use those, print them off, do what you want with them. Anyway, here we go. We'll start with the box here. It's my collection box. It is 6 inches deep and 14 inches wide, and height-wise, let's see, we can get a height-wise on there. It looks to be about 24 inches, 2 foot tall. Basically, the sides are just 3/4 inch pine boards. You buy it, Menards, Fleet, wherever, lumberyard. The front and back here are Masonite product, and the dividers are Luan. Just like a 1/4 inch, or that's not even 1/4 inch. Just a thin plywood type of product. Inside, if you can see inside here, I have some aluminum channel. That was bought at Menards also by the steel, where they sell the steel. They got the rack. And those are just for the dividers to slide up and down in. As you can see, they're bolted on there. I just bought some very small bolts, ground the heads down so they would fit inside of there, and bolted it on. I do have this little piece of flat bar that slides into that slot there and slides through the dividers and out the back side, and that's what keeps cans from falling out of the bottom of the box. And it also keeps the dividers in there, so if somebody comes along and tries to pull the divider up, it's not going to come up and screw things up. That's about all there is to that. The bicycle itself was an 18-speed Murray mountain bike, and we had 2 of them around here, and my stepchildren trashed them through the years, so they were headed to scrap bin, but I found something better to do with them. Start on the bottom, you can see that I have the handlebars on there. I also took the handlebars off the second one and mounted them into the seat stem. And it makes a good solid platform for this thing to sit on. The front end here, I welded the steering so it does not turn, and cut the front fork off. And then I built it a little frame out of 1.25 inch square tubing that I had laying around, and drilled through that and got some. You can see the bolts in the bottom there. Those are lag bolts that run up into the crushing chamber box. Okay. Also up front here, I had to stiffen this up a little bit, so I took the fork off the other bicycle and I welded that to the fork into the frame of the bike to stiffen that up. I still had a little bit of flexing problem, so I took some flat bar here and ran some flat bar down and tied that into my framework, and so now it's all nice and solid. The gearing on here, a lot of people have been asking about that. This is an 18-speed bicycle, got cluster of 3 gears in the front and 6 in the back. On the front cluster, I'm running off the center gear, and on the rear cluster, I'm running off the smallest gear. I believe that would be 12 speed, 12th gear on here. You guys do the math. Okay, let's go up to the crushing chamber box here. I recently shim this thing down a little bit. I cut my rams down and put some shims in there. You can see. Reason being is that cans were falling in on occasion, and they would fall in. There was too much play in there. They would fall in kind of on an angle, and then they wouldn't crush straight, and they would jam up and not fall through the box. The other reason being that I drink Keystone Light, which is a smaller diameter can than your regular soda can or regular beer can. So there was enough space in there that the can inside the box, and then the next one coming down, they would kind of sit sideways, and occasionally as the ram would come up, it would catch the edge of that second can and it would kick it up and just mess up all the cans in the box. So that was the purpose behind doing that. So this right now is down to, the crushing chamber is down to 3 inches. As you can see, I didn't run the shims all the way out neither, so if they do crush kind of funny, I got a little extra play there. But that's right now, my distance in between here is approximately 3 inches, and what I did was take a soda can, and I'm about a 1/4 inch wider than the diameter of a soda can. So the rest of this is just 2x4, all screwed together with utility screws, some plywood on the top to keep the crushing ram from jumping out. How pretty simple this thing is. Width-wise, is like 15 1/4 inches by 25 inches approximately, and I believe these are 2.5 inches deep, and like I said, they're 3 inches wide. You just cut your crushing rams down to fit. The crushing rams themselves are approximately 12 inches long. I do have, excuse me, I do have a slight bevel on the front of the crushing rams here, and the reason for that is just because a can that's in a solid state with no dents in it, I mean, I can stand my 200-pound body on and it will not collapse. So, but if the minute you put a little dent in there, it's going to crush. So this way, the thought behind this was it'll start crushing that top first, and it'll take a lot less force that way. You know, whether that's true or not, I don't know. That was just my thought. Another thing in the crushing box is I did make some steel plates for the front, because this box is all made out of pine, and it was really beaten up. The cans were beaten up the inside of this box. You don't seem to be doing much to the crushing rams, but those came off a pallet and they're hardwood, so I guess that would be the reason behind that. But okay, that's all for that. Another question I get a lot of is how I attach the rams to this rod here, and really it's basically simple. What I did was just take a piece of rod, and this looks like to be about 3/8. You could take a 3/8 bolt, a piece of rebar, concrete rebar, whatever you got. And but I got a nut here that slips over that rod. Fits a little loose. I welded 2 nuts to that, and to that I have my threaded rod, which goes down to my turnbuckle, which I had to buy. Those aren't cheap, by the way. And that just allows me to adjust how much crush I have in the cans. There's a reason for that. You know, if you don't really need to have it, but then you got to figure out just how long you want the damn thing. Another question is how I attach it to the bike. What I did was I bastardized the pedals on the bicycle and got the center stem out of them, because you have a left and a right hand thread on these things. And I just took a piece of pipe, I cut them off, took a piece of pipe that just fit over that stem, and again I welded 2 nuts to it, welded my threaded rod to it. Just put a couple washers and, you know, a little keyway thing in there, and a cotter pin, and that's how that was put together. It's all real simple. Motor, that's another big question area. This particular motor is old as hell, and I don't know where it come out of. I can't find a tag on it. I'm assuming it came out of a furnace, probably a quarter or third horse. Possibly could have come out of a refrigerator. I'm not really sure. There's no tags on it again. But wiring wise, all I did was basic wiring. Ran a cord out to switch out here, just a single pole switch, and then wired that back into the motor. You know, it's just basic wiring. I get a lot of questions about how the motor runs against a tire. And if you can see, there's a hub on the shaft of the motor. I get these things at local Fleet Farm in the implement department, farm department, and the hub is to attach a pulley to. You can buy the hubs. You buy the hub to fit the size shaft you want, and then you can weld a pulley to that. They sell the pulleys too. But I didn't need a pulley, so I just bought the hub to fit the shaft of this motor. Motor itself is mounted on some bracketry that I just made out of pieces and parts. It will adjust, it will slide closer and further from the tire, but I haven't had a problem with having to adjust it. Basically, if it starts to slip too much, I just put more air in the tire. These tires are old and they're dry rotted, and pieces and parts are starting to come off them. So the slipping thing actually is a good thing, because if somebody puts something in a can and you don't know it, and it goes to crush it and it runs into it, the tire slips and hangs. So anyway, if the hub does slip, it is a good thing. Keeps you from wrecking stuff if there's something in the can that doesn't belong. So yeah, that's kind of a safety thing. Anyway, that's about all I got for you. Anybody have any more questions, please feel free to ask them. I'll do the best I can to answer them. If you build one of these things, hey, use what you got. You know, I'm sure a lot of you guys got a lot better ideas and for doing some of this stuff than what I came up with. So if you do build one, I'd be interested in looking at it. Please post it on YouTube, you know. Share your madness. Till next time, take care. Bye-bye.